This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Again, Erev Shabbos Hagadol, Parshas Tzav. Let me share with you something on the Haggadah. We say, Avodim hayinu lefaroi b'Mitzrayim. We were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt. And of course the pasuk tells us, Kili b'nei Yisroel avodim, avodayhem asher hoitzesi oisam me'aretz Mitzrayim. To me, are the Jewish people slaves? Avodayhem, they are my slaves. Asher hoitzesi oisam me'aretz Mitzrayim. So let us be ma'ayin. Let us think for a moment. Why is the pasuk repetitive? Kili b'nei Yisrael avodim, avodayhem. We just said that. We got the point. Why repeat it? Well, you could ask the following question. The question is that you cannot purchase a slave against his will. You can't just buy a slave. A slave becomes a slave with their consent. Yeah, you can't be kind of eved bal karchach. So how did Hashem make us his slaves? After all, it was kaf aleim har kegigis. God suspended the mountain over our head like a barrel. But the avdus is not chal then. The avdus is not chal because it was imposed on us. So how does it work? Well, says Rav Weiss in his Haggadah Minchas Asher, that if you just buy a guy off the marketplace, fine, you can't buy him against his will. But if you buy an eved from a previous owner, so now you're not making him an eved against his will. He already was an eved, you're merely transferring the ownership. So this is the meaning of the pasuk. Kili b'nei Yisrael avodim. To me are the Jewish people slaves. Why are they slaves? Avodayhem asher hoitzesi oisam me'aretz Mitzrayim. They are my slaves because I took them out from a previous owner. We were slaves to Parai. Once we were slaves to Parai, God can impose slavery upon us because we already were slaves. Had God, there's a big question. Why did we have to go down to Mitzrayim? Why couldn't Hashem just, so to speak, one day take a mountain and suspend it over our heads and say, hey guys, I have a great idea. Either keep the Torah, or you get a free burial spot. It's much cheaper this way. Why can't Hashem just do that? The answer is then the Abdus would not have been Chal. The only reason the Abdus was Chal was because we were already slaves to Parai. God was merely then transferring our ownership, transferring the slavery from one owner to the next. That is the meaning of the pasuk. Kili b'nei Yisrael avodim. Why? Avodayhem asher hoitzesi oisam me'eretz Mitzrayim. Now that transfer is a very important transfer in a very tenuous time, because if in the interim we sort of sneak out, so we run off. That's why we pointed out the other day there are only two mitzvahs aseh d'oraisa that there's a punishment of kares for: Damila and a carbon Pesach. Why? Because in the interim, when God was, so to speak, acquiring us as his slaves, what's stopping us, like the Gemara says, an eved that when the master wants to be toiva l'shem avdos, if the eved is toiva l'shem cheros, the eved will go free. So what does the master do, says the Gemara? The master exerts his authority over the slave in the water. He puts something on his head to demonstrate he's the master in the water, and therefore imposing that the eved is toivel l'shem avdos. How did the Rebbeinu Shalom ensure that when we went free from Parai, we did not then go free entirely? By giving us these two mitzvahs, the mitzvah of Damila and Pesach. Okay, so one final thought. Says Rav Asher Weiss, a very beautiful pshat. We say on Rosh Hashanah, L'tzoyfen nistarais b'yayim din l'koine avodah vadin. You say that? Mm-hmm. Okay. We say, God sees the hidden on the day of judgment. He purchases his slaves in judgment. What does this mean? What if you buy a slave in the store? You go to slaves. Now that Toys R Us is out of business, maybe they have Slaves R Us. Or, you go to Main Street or Central Avenue, and you want to buy a slave. They come in handy, especially before Pesach. They could kasher your you want to buy a slave. Turns out the guy's a Baal Mum. Or he's a listed mezuyan, he's an armed robber. So it's a mekach ta'os, and all the avdus is batal. And therefore we are very scared and we are terrified that yes, we are the avodim to Hashem. But what if we're bali mumin? We're chaitim. We're like armed robbers. Maybe God's purchase of us is off. Maybe we have a secret mum, and God will say, "Oh, you guys, forget it. I didn't realize you'd act that way." So therefore we say like this. We have no secret mumim, because Hashem is soifen nestaris. God sees, when you purchase an eved, it could be the person has a secret mum you didn't see. They were wearing an overcoat. But to God, He's soifen nestaris. He sees all the secrets. So to Him, nestaris is like galoi. So we say, let's soifen nestaris b'yom din, since God sees everything that's hidden on the Day of Judgment, memela koina avadav badin, He buys us outright, and there's no mekach ta'as, because there's no mekach ta'as to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because He's soife the nestaris. But this is all, if you want to know, how did God impose slavery on us? So the answer is, because he didn't. We were already slaves. He merely transitioned the avdus from parai to become, that we became avdei Hashem. Okay, Rabbi say, have a great day.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.